Well, hello there, and I do hope you're all well. Now, this is a second bit of our James not so cleverly making a prize prune of himself at a cross-party select committee where they discuss our relationship with the evil overlords of the EU. And in this part, he has a very enlightening and interesting conversation with David Jones. He's a Conservative MP for Clyde West. I think that's how he pronounces it. It's CLWYD. If I've misspoken, I do apologise. But what he asks is about stuff like dynamic alignment between Northern Ireland and the EU and sovereign state and all this. And it develops and asking some rather difficult questions for our James not so cleverly, to the point where he thinks, I'm a little bit stuck here. Expert? So he brings in his expert, Julian Braithwaite. It's a shame now, it's strange how now they want to have experts in the referendum. Apparently we'd all had enough of experts. It's amazing how experts are back in fashion now. And also look out for the unfeasibly large plaster on Bill Cash's noggin. It's a sight to behold, quite clearly. No idea what he's done, but he's done whatever he's done and put plaster on his forehead, combed it into a situation that hides it, and in that, like he's done there, quite clearly rubbed his head and not realised his misadventure is exposed. It's quite funny, and the conversation with David Jones and James Not So Cleverly is quite enlightening. Whereas David Jones asks some quite difficult questions that clearly James can't answer and doesn't want to answer. Very funny.
Just on that point briefly, are the Americans aware of the reservations that people such as David Trimble have expressed as to the impact that the protocol is having upon the integrity of the Good Friday Agreement? Is that something that's being made clear to the Americans?
I won't be doing a video of this guy, but the guy at the side of him is called Greg Smith, Conservative MP for Buckinghamshire, so you can guarantee this is a Tory loving.
Well, I know that Secretary of State for Northern Ireland speaks regularly with senior officials and politicians in the United States of America. On my recent trip, I made the case that there are many voices in the unionist community in Northern Ireland who are expressing real concern, and these are people who don't have a direct political advantage in doing so. These are not people who are themselves up for election. These are people who are passionate about maintaining peace and security in Northern Ireland. And I do remind our American friends and European friends that they should listen to this range of unionist voices.
Ignore the ones who want to remain, by the sounds of it.
Because they are all expressing very severe reservations. No, stronger than that. They are all basically saying this is not working. And when peace builders like Lord Trimble are saying that they are worried, I think everybody should sit up and take note, because he doesn't say things like that lightly. We are trying to address, and the Prime Minister, the Foreign Secretary, Secretary of State for Northern Ireland, actually everyone in government is really focused on making sure that we don't see Northern Ireland slip back into violence at all. And we feel that this is one of the things that we should address to prevent that from happening.
Now, this is what makes me laugh about this. Now, when it came to the referendum campaign, how many times did I hear about the conversation talk about Northern Ireland, the Good Friday Agreement? None. So, spare me the drivel, James Not So Cleverly. You don't care.
I don't know whether you've seen it, but last month this committee published a report on the EU Commission's work programme for 2022. And we identified that there were at least 29 proposals for new or amended EU laws that Northern Ireland will have to apply under the dynamic alignment that arises under the protocol. We actually described it as a motorway of EU-derived legislation coming into Northern Ireland. Do the government's proposals for reform, the proposals that we've put to Maroš Šefčovič, draw attention to this particular problem? And are there any suggestions as to how to stop the motorway of legislation coming into Northern Ireland?
Yeah, look at that face. It's that, who am I, where am I, look. Who am I? Where am I? Who are you? That poor lass behind him saying, well, that's got you stumped now, hasn't it? Now, does he prove her wrong and show his breadth of knowledge about all these motorway new EU rules and regulations and flip him off the tongue and show that we mean business? What do you think?
I will have to confess that I would need to look back again at your report to see the which bits of legislation are most likely to have an impact on the issues that we've been discussing with Mr. Šefčovič and his team.
I think what we're more concerned about is the principle of dynamic alignment, because it's inevitable that whenever a piece of legislation comes from the EU that is covered by the protocol, then it will have to be taken on board by Northern Ireland. I mean, as a matter of principle, has the government put forward proposals to stop that state of affairs continuing?
Well, as I say, the point that we've been making to the EU is that the situation as we currently find it, even with the decisions from or the decision not to apply the elements of the protocol which are as drafted, is causing problems, and anything that pushes us more towards that misalignment between communities, anything which affects that foundation stone principle of the Good Friday Agreement, is something that we're not willing to see. I mean, I don't want to speculate further without, and my fault. I should I'll recheck that list of legislation that you speak about. But our broad principle is that there can be a dynamic, flexible, pragmatic working relationship between the EU, the UK, when it comes to Northern Ireland. If we can establish that as a principle, that we are good faith actors, that neither is trying to disadvantage or harm or hinder the other, and that in all respects we look at the unique history and the importance of maintaining peace and security in Northern Ireland, we can have an effective way that works for the future. And I think that's the principle that we need to embed. And at the moment, the situation isn't providing us the comfort that we would want in terms of that community tension.
When you speak of a dynamic working arrangement, does that include inevitably dynamic alignment between EU legislation and Northern Ireland?
I'm conscious that terms like dynamic alignment have a very specific meaning.
In other words, he don't know because he's so thick.
An impact, and I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to sign us up to anything.
Probably lazy as well.
Well, that's why I raised the question, I know, because you used the word dynamic arrangements.
Yeah. I might bring my officials in on I say officials, I'll put you in the plural, like the Her Majesty the Queen. I mean, we have. So our proposals are to have a dual regulatory approach for goods, and we're challenging the EU on legislation that we think should not apply in Northern Ireland. I don't know, Julia, if you want.
Let's have the adult in the room now.
See. more detail on that.
So, I mean, one of the real issues, of course, is the dynamic alignment that is written into the protocol. I mean, as you know, there are 50 pages of annexes to the protocol which set out all of the laws of the EU that will apply directly or through the application by UK law in Northern Ireland. That has an immediate impact on the sale of British goods in Northern Ireland. So our proposal to deal with that immediate issue about Northern Ireland being able to access British goods in the normal way, and for British manufacturers to be able to sell their goods in Northern Ireland because they meet British regulations, is that there should be a dual regulatory approach to deal with that issue. The whole issue of dynamic alignment, of course, is hardwired right into the protocol over 50 pages, and therefore that gets right to the heart of an issue that we've always said is important, is that the protocol does require substantial change, and it needs to be amended. So that's the fundamental point where we in the EU have...
Well, thank you for that, but so that we have absolute clarity on this point, is it the position of Her Majesty's government that we want to put a stop to dynamic alignment?
So the immediate issue is around the goods flowing into Northern Ireland and the dual regulatory approach.
I understand that, but
the command paper does set
the government wants to put a stop to dynamic alignment. Is that right?
We can't have a situation. So I keep going back to what for us really now is a foundation stone principle, which is the desire to ensure that principle in the Good Friday Agreement, that all communities should enjoy equal esteem, and that nothing should happen through the protocol or the future amendments to the protocol, which would undermine that. And if that east-west flow of goods is curtailed, as we are seeing at the moment, then that would be something that we feel would be an unacceptable situation. Exactly how we resolve that.
He's not going to let him go on this. Why don't you just say, we're not going to commit, James? You absolute pancake.
Again, I don't want to kind of paint ourselves into a corner as to how we protect that principle, and I wouldn't want to kind of limit our.
So to summarise, forgive me interrupting, but to summarise, you are unable to tell the committee now as to whether or not the government's ambition is to put a stop to dynamic alignment.
Well, our ambition is to make sure that East-West trade is not protected.
I understand what your ambition is,
yeah.
but
how we protect that ambition.
Yes.
I don't want to limit my options.
So I'm correct in saying you can't help the committee with that in this particular session.
I don't want to make a hard and fast. We'll never do this. We'll never do that. We'll never do that.
That's fine, but so long as we understand what the position is, that's helpful to the committee.
Get ready for this. It's a sight to behold. Now try not to laugh. This is a serious politician,
Today, and would I be right in saying that you're not going to be in a position to let any cats out of the bag at this stage?
Very wise, Sir William, very wise.
I think, Minister, if you just said that, we'd have all understood that.
Yeah, exactly. Why don't you just say so in the first place, you absolute complete idiot. You complete utter Nimrod. You just went round the houses, round the hedges, making noises, spewing out words, all in the wrong order as usual, because clearly you've no idea what you're doing. You shouldn't be anywhere near Parliament, pretty much like our Prime Minister and the front bench. But I have to say that was just a joy to behold. Watching him with his who am I, where am I look, that was just funny. I know some people get angry watching this and think, oh, look what they've done to this country. My defence mechanism is to just chuckle away, because if you don't laugh, you'll just cry. This is where we are in Britain. A bunch of idiots running our country. Well, anyway, I shall leave the video here. Until the next time, I shall bid you farewell and take care.